is on the advisory board. Are you not, Ben, on the advisory board, correct?
I am on the advisory board.
Yes, and Ben is a doctor of pharmacy, and it really is a great story because Ben is a pharmacist for many, many years. Saw people coming in and out of the pharmacy and getting sicker and sicker, and because he's so brilliant in biochemistry and a lifelong learner, he realized that people were just getting more and more poisoned by these drugs versus, finding the root cause of their illness. So, and he has this magical way of taking very complex subjects and breaking them down for people like myself to go, light bulb, that makes so much sense. Of course. This is how, the divine created the miracle that is us. And he takes this complex process of biochemistry and spirituality and heart and soul, and he just blends it all together in something that makes complete sense. And once you hear this, you will want to follow everything he does. You will want to follow his blog. You will want to follow his radio show and connect your people to this for information. So
how am I going to live up to all that? How am I going to live up to all that, Trish?
You know what? All you have to do is be you, and you just are it.
Thank you.
Without further ado, I want to introduce my really good friend and someone I admire, Ben Fuchs.
Thank you, Trish. I love you. You should come along with me and introduce me every time.
I would love that.
I would love that too.
Okay.
So the funny thing is, I'm just a pharmacist who likes chemistry. To me, chemistry is such a important and valuable and really magical science. How everything goes together is really beautiful to me. When I first got into biochemistry, I became instantly spiritual when I first realized how the body is composed of all of these incredible, this vast amount of biochemical reactions of biochemistry, of biochemical this turning into that. That's all chemistry is. It's this turning into that, A turning into B, and then it turning into C, and then turning into D, on and on and on and on. And if we know how to leverage A going to B, going to C, going to D, we can be healthy. We're not healthy because we don't know how A goes to B, goes to C, goes to D, and nobody tells us. So I made it my mission to help people understand that. So when I talked to Mary Ann earlier today, I was under the impression I was going to talk about IGY, which is a really, really cool product. How many of you guys, has everybody used IGY? You just nod your head if I can't hear you. I used IGY.
Yes.
It's really, the science of it is spectacular, and that's saying something because in the business we're in, there's always the latest, and there's always the greatest, and there's always the newest, and there's always the thing that's going to revolutionize health. And what's made Dr. Wallach so incredibly special and Youngevity so special is it's not about the latest and greatest, it's about the basics. So when I first heard about IGY, I was a little bit skeptical, and the more I read about it, and the more I studied, the more I realized this is really something that is revolutionary. This is really something that is a powerful new way of treating health. And so I was going to talk a little bit about IGY. I was going to talk a little bit about how to integrate IGY with Youngevity. What is Youngevity? YGY? Youngevity is YGY and this is IGY. Do you ever think of that? That's kind of cool. Anyway, I was going to talk about how to integrate IGY with YGY. IGY is great, but it's not the basics. You got to have the basics before you can have the specialty. We like to think of it as a wheel and as a hub and wheel concept. You have a hub, which is in the center of the wheel, and then you have spokes that come off of that hub. The hub is the basics, and the spokes are the ancillary products. And Youngevity's got both. Youngevity's got a hub that makes the basic essential nutrients, what we call the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, really easy to access, really easy for everybody to take advantage of. And then it's got wonderful products along the spokes. The IGY is a product that would fit along the scopes, along with the Fucoid Z and the Nightly Essence and the Ultimate Enzymes and a few other products. They form some really powerful spoke products, but you got to have the hub before you can have the spokes. You don't have much of a wheel if you just have spokes and no hub. The hub is the center and the core of everything. The hub is what we call the Mighty 90 essential nutrients. I'm always asked, what exactly are the Mighty 90 essential nutrients? And sometimes I take for granted as a pharmacist and as a healthcare professional, and perhaps sometimes you take for granted the fact that everybody knows what vitamins are, and everybody knows what the Mighty 90 essential nutrients are, and everybody knows why you need to have them every day. But think about it. If somebody put your feet to the fire and said, all right, tell me exactly what vitamins and minerals do, or what vitamins and minerals are, what the mighty 90 essential nutrients, the essential fatty acids, amino acids, what are they and why are they important? Most of us would be hard pressed to really come up with a good answer, except for, well, everybody knows they're important, or they're important for us to stay healthy. The reason these things are important is because what we call the mighty 90 essential nutrients are really the menu from which a cell eats. A cell doesn't eat hamburgers, a cell doesn't eat steak, a cell doesn't eat celery, a cell doesn't eat protein shakes. A cell eats vitamins, a cell eats minerals, and a cell eats amino acids, and a cell eats essential fatty acids and a few other things. The thing that makes the mighty 90 so important is because the mighty 90 essential nutrients have to come from outside the body. They're required for food for a cell, but the body can't make them, and without which, if you don't get them in your body from outside, a cell will die. A cell is a miniature version of a person, a very miniature version of a person. A cell has a digestive system. We have a digestive system. A cell has an excretory system. We have an excretory system. A cell has a nervous system. We have a nervous system. A cell has an immune system. We have an immune system. If you take a human being and shrink it down trillions of times or billions of times, you'll get a cell. And so just like a cell has all of the systems that we have, a cell has to do also has to do all of the things that we do. A cell has to breathe just like we have to breathe. A cell has to excrete poisons just like we have to excrete poisons. And a cell has to eat just like we have to eat. And just like if we don't have macronutrients in the form of food, in the form of water, in the form of sugar, we will die. If a cell doesn't have what it needs, that is vitamins, minerals, amino acids, essential fatty acids, glucose, and oxygen, a cell will die. So anytime somebody asks you what are the mighty 90 essential nutrients, they are the food version, the version of food, the cell's version of the food that we eat. I like to say the menu from which a cell eats, and without which a cell will die exactly the same way that we will die if we don't have food. So as great as the IGY is, without having the food, you don't have a cell. The IGY isn't going to do you much good. Likewise, the Fuchs Z and the ultimate enzymes and all the nightly essence and all the other spoke products. So you got to get the core, the hub. The beautiful thing about Youngevity is without the Healthy Start Pack, in order for you to get the hub, you're going to have to go to the health food store. You're going to have to go on the internet. You're going to have to do all your research. You're going to have to buy all the individual nutrients. You're going to have to have a medicine cabinet filled with various things. And you're not going to know what company what kind of company is making the products or what company to choose. Youngevity makes it so simple because it's all in the Healthy Start Pack. Everybody needs the Healthy Start Pack. If people can't afford the Healthy Start Pack, which is what, $130 or so, $135 a month, at least the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine will get you most of the mighty 90 essential nutrients. It's not going to get you the ultimate EFAs, it's not going to get you your essential fatty acids, and it's not going to get you enough of certain minerals that you'll get from the OsteoFX, but it will get you most of what you need. So always start people off, if they can afford it, on the Healthy Start Pack. If not, at least on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Most people will notice good results just by taking the Beyond Tangy Tangerine if they have not been on a nutritional supplement program. If somebody doesn't have nutrients in their body, if somebody is devoid of nutrients, one of the great gifts of the human body is the more deficient we are, the faster the body absorbs those nutrients. So if you get somebody who has never supplemented before, as soon as they get on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, 24 to 48 hours, they're going to get results. And you can almost guarantee that. In fact, I do guarantee that. If somebody has never been on a supplement program or doesn't know anything about supplements, which many of our customers are like that. So at least the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but if you can get them on the Healthy Start Pack, that's even better because of the essential fatty acids and the OsteoFX. Then you start to work with the spoke products. That's the hub. Then you start to work with the spoke products. Most important of the spoke products is, in my opinion, is the nightly essence. That gives you the bacteria. And the nightly essence and the IGY work hand in hand. I'm not sure if Dr. Winkler talked about that, but they go together. The IGY is antibodies that help support the health of the probiotics, that the nightly essence probiotics. In other words, if you have good bacteria, if you have a problem with the good bacteria in your gut, chances are not only do you not have enough good bacteria, but you also have bad bacteria. In other words, you have a combination of good bacteria and bad bacteria. When we're healthy, you've got way more good bacteria than bad bacteria. If you're not healthy, you've got way less of the good bacteria and too much of the bad bacteria. The beautiful thing about the IGY is it kills the bad bacteria and allows the good bacteria to thrive, and that's why it works hand in hand with the nightly essence. Now, digestive health is not just a question of restoring the health of the bacteria in the gut. Technically speaking, the bacteria in the gut are called the microbiome. I don't know if you've heard that term, but if you haven't heard it yet, you certainly will, because we're learning more and more about the relevance of the microbiome to chronic degenerative disease or good health. And for most of us, particularly if we've been confronted with antibiotics when we were young, as we get older, the health of our microbiome declines. And this is intimately connected to the development of chronic degenerative disease. In fact, there is no such thing as a chronic degenerative disease that does not have an aspect of a messed up gut intestinal flora. So using the nightly essence can help you build the intestinal flora. Using the IGY with the nightly essence can help kill off the bad bacteria. They work together like a hand in glove. Now, in conjunction with the IGY and the nightly essence, you also want to make sure you're using fermented foods. Fermented foods do several things. They actually give you more bacteria for the gut, but they also provide fiber. And fiber is very, very important as what's called a prebiotic. If you haven't heard that term, that's another term that you'll probably hear in the coming weeks and months and years. A prebiotic is a food for the probiotics. The bacteria have to eat something, and they actually will eat fiber, and even better, when they eat the fiber, they will release chemicals that go into your brain that make you happy. They will release chemicals that go into your brain that act as appetite suppressants. They will release chemicals that go into your brain that will relax you. So not only does fiber from your fermented food support the health of the bacteria, but in return, almost like as a gift for feeding them, the bacteria will provide you with what are called short-chain fatty acids that act as neurochemicals to relax you, act as an appetite suppressant, and also to put you in a good mood, act as anti-anxiety agents, general brain health. And that's you can think of it as like a gift. You feed them, they feed you. Another thing good fermented foods do, first they give you bacteria, the fermented foods, fermented veggies, I should say, things like sauerkraut, fermented beets, fermented carrots, anything that's fermented in terms of vegetables. Not only will it give you good bacteria, not only will it give you fiber, but it also gives you nitrogen. Vegetables are a wonderful source of what are called nitrates and nitrites. Now, most people have heard of nitrates and nitrites, but not in a good way. Most people have heard of nitrates and nitrites in a toxic way. And that's because nitrates and nitrites act as preservatives, and they're found in hot dogs and preserved meats and cold cuts, primarily preserved meats. And in that form, they are very toxic. But in their natural form, in vegetables, they act as a source of nutrition for bacteria. Bacteria love nitrogen, as any farmer knows. In fact, nitrogen-rich soils are going to be the best kind of soils because they feed bacteria that live in the ground, so-called nitrogen-fixing bacteria that provide the nitrogen to plants. Nitrogen is nature's atom bomb. Nitrogen provides energy for work. In fact, one of the most important sources of nitrogen is something everybody's heard of that is really responsible for the development of the United States of America in terms of railroads and highways and mountains, carving through mountains, and a lot of the work that took place in the frontier in the 19th century and in the 18th century took place because of something called nitroglycerin. They used to use nitrogen to explode things. Nitrogen is a very powerful explosive quality. TNT is trinitrotoluene. Nitrogen is used as rocket fuel. Nitrogen contains lots of energy. In fact, nitrogen was used by one of the most famous strong men in history. His name was Popeye. You guys ever hear a guy named Popeye? What did Popeye eat when he wanted to get really strong? He didn't eat hamburgers. He didn't eat steak. He didn't eat meat. What did he eat? He ate spinach. Why? Because spinach is one of nature's richest source of nitrogen. Nitrogen is powerful, powerful stuff, and the more nitrogen you get into your system, the more powerful you will be, because nitrogen is required for making what are called amino acids. Well, just like we need nitrogen, bacteria need nitrogen, and they get that, the bacteria in our gut, and they get that nitrogen from vegetables. So eating fermented vegetables, number one, provides you with bacteria, number two, provides you with fiber, and number three, provides you with nitrogen, and oh, as a bonus, it also provides you with enzymes, and because the vegetables are fermented, the nutrients are released, and it makes it much easier for your body to access the nutrients. You don't think fermented vegetables are important now, I don't know what else I need to tell you. They're incredibly, incredibly powerful. They work hand in hand with the IGY. They work hand in hand with the nightly essence, all of which act as spoke products that work hand in hand with the Healthy Start Pack, the vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids, the essential fatty acids, which function as food for the cells. Thank you, guys.
Wow. Okay, Ben, don't leave.
Wow. No, I said wow.
So, does anyone have any questions for Ben?
Can I say well?
You can say.
Yes, of course, Andy. And Vince.
This is Vince.
Okay.
I finally got my speaker to work.
There you go, Vince.
My
How's it going?
So does anyone have any questions for Ben?
Yeah, don't let him quit yet.
Alexandra, you need to hit your unmute button or type in the question. Either way. Or Marianne can unmute you, perhaps.
I can see Sandra's lips moving there.
Sandra wants to, okay, let me look.
Alexandra, yeah.
Alexandra, I see your lips moving
Hey,
there.
Alexandra, you're unmuted.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Alexandra.
What's fermented vegetables?
The most famous one is sauerkraut.
Right.
But what you do is you can either go to the health food store, they have them, or you can make them yourself. What you do is you get something called a starter pack. A starter pack is bacteria, and then you just pour it on cabbage or beets or carrots or any vegetable will work, celery, and you let it cover it up. You let it sit in the dark, and the bacteria digest the vegetables and release the nutrients, make it easier for your body to handle. And as the bacteria proliferate, they release acids, and they make the vegetables taste sort of tangy and tart. If you want a really good book on recipes for fermented vegetables, there's a wonderful book called The Art of Fermentation, which I have somewhere here in my library. Hang on a second. Excuse me. Yeah. This is my favorite book on fermented vegetables here.
And you have to be careful. Not all grocery store, canned or jarred sauerkraut, it has what it needs in it.
Yeah, you have to have live cultures.
Yeah.
Most people know about yogurt. Can you see that, or is it backwards?
I can
No,
see it.
that's perfect.
Okay, good. It's The Art of Fermentation. It's got awesome recipes. Great, easy reading book. One of my all-time favorite fermentation books. And you can make your own, or you can get it at a health food store, at a grocery store. I like making my own. I make my own sauerkraut with cabbage, but you can do it with lots of other vegetables. And it's amazing for the digestive system if you're dealing with ulcerative colitis or irritable bowel syndrome or any kind of digestive health issues. In fact, you can really subsist on it because it's got protein in it. It's got the nitrogen in it. If you do it correctly, you're going to get a lot of the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, and what you're not, you'll get from your Healthy Start Pack. So between your Healthy Start Pack and your fermented vegetables, you don't have to eat very much else.
So Ben, how is that similar or dissimilar to apple cider vinegar?
Apple cider vinegar is a fermented product. It's not quite. You're not going to get all the vegetable nutrients. You're not going to get. You're not going to get the stuff from the fiber. You're not going to get the phytonutrients from the plants or the vitamins and the minerals. But still, apple cider vinegar is a great way to acidify the stomach. That's another thing that the fermented vegetables will do. One of the great misunderstood or underappreciated health challenges that we have is something called hypo. That means low. Hypo means low. Chlorhydria. Chlorhydria means hydrochloric acid. Hypochlorhydria means low hydrochloric acid. And this is very ironic and interesting because most people think that they make too much stomach acid. And Trish, I know you know this. Most of us make too little stomach acid. When we're not making enough stomach acid, number one, we can't activate our digestive enzymes. Our digestive enzymes depend on a certain acidity level to become activated. So if you're taking your ultimate enzymes, for example, but you're not making enough stomach acid, you're not going to get the benefit of the ultimate enzymes. But even worse, your body's digestive system is kind of like a car wash. Like one of the, remember those, you know those car washes where your car goes through the tunnel and then first the brush comes down and then the hose comes out and then different fluids come out. And then as the car is going down, it's being acted upon by different elements in the car wash. That's kind of like how your digestive system works. So you eat a food, it goes down your esophagus, and then acid comes into the stomach, and then enzymes come into the stomach, and it breaks up the food, and then the food drops into the pancreas or into the intestine. And because the acid level triggers a reaction between the pancreas and the gallbladder, so the pancreatic enzymes and bile will hit the acidified food. If you're not making enough stomach acid and the food drops through, that's not going to happen. And all of a sudden now, you're not going to have pancreatic juices, you're not going to have bile salts, and as it goes down to the intestine, now the food is not going to be as broken down as it should be. Nutrients aren't going to come through. The food is going to go through the intestine undigested. It's going to pull water through, and you can end up with diarrhea. You're going to end up with malabsorption. You're not going to get your nutrients, all because of what's happened upstream. So by taking apple cider vinegar, to answer your question about apple cider vinegar, with your meals, you can prevent any problems with the food downstream, making sure that everything works appropriately as the food passes through the digestive tract, like a car passing through the car wash. You know, if one element doesn't come out of the car wash, all the elements, the subsequent elements aren't going to come out either, and your car is not going to get clean. Likewise with the food as it passes through your digestive tract. Does that make sense? I hope it does.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar still isn't going to provide you, though, with the fiber and the nutrients that you get from the veggies and the nitrogen. All right?
Awesome.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
If you guys
Thank
want
you.